go? No. John, would you crank us up, please?
You're rolling. You're good, Joel.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is a meeting of the City of Mobile Finance Committee to discuss a proposed ordinance to amend the Mobile City Code by including the real property business privilege tax applicable to lessors of residential buildings and dwellings to the schedule of licenses. This contains some changes to our current business privilege license taxes applicable to residential properties. In addition to myself as chairman of the committee, we have committee members Fred Richardson and John Williams. I also see we have City Councilwoman Bess Rich with us this morning. We have the council attorney, Mr. Chris Arledge. We have the clerk, Miss Lisa Lambert. We have Mr. Jamie Roberts from the administration, who I'm going to recognize in a minute. I see we have the interim director of finance, Mr. David Doffenbaugh, and others with us this morning. So I thought we would begin by having Mr. Ross, if you could, just take a few minutes to kind of at 30,000 feet cover the ordinance and particularly the changes it would make to our current business privilege tax arrangements.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So the proposed change really just changes two things primarily. It's eliminating the 10 or less unit exemption for rental properties. I think we discussed last time that that's being pretty well abused by companies setting up LLCs for every 9 units they have at their scatter site. So we don't know where they're at. They're not getting taxed properly, that kind of thing at this point. The second primary reason for the change is to require contact information as part of the license application for a responsible owner or property manager, so that David Occupy Municipal Enforcement has a contact when there's code issues. Which, you know, if you take that further, also allows the police department have if there's a criminal activities issue, they can have a contact also to know who is there. Those are the two primary things. Nonprofits, housing authority, they're still exempt. They would be required to submit the paperwork to show they're exempt, but that also gives us the contact person for who manages that property. And that's really the only two changes.
Okay. My understanding from looking at this is that the fee would be $25 per year per dwelling unit. Is that correct?
That's correct for the 10 or less unit owners. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, I think you had a question.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. So we're still gonna put them in a different category. There's those with less than 10, and there's lessors with more than 10 units. And in doing so, they're getting their own separate code of how much, or a factor of how much they're gonna be charged on gross receipts.
The lesser 10 is a flat fee. It's the $25 per unit.
Okay, and then when it gets over, then they get charged the gross receipts, basically rent times this factor.
Right, which is the current situation, yes.
Yeah, and we're changing that factor by, I don't, it's very way, I don't even know how far that fraction goes down there. Do we think there is a certain amount of income that's going to be raised by that? Is there a goal?
I think that was just a correction from the original draft. Flo submitted that to Mr. Arledge.
Okay,
it was
so
like two 100,000.
Yeah. So there's not a change in rate?
Not that I'm aware of, no. The only change is the $25 per unit for the lesser 10 owners.
Okay, all right. They're just reading Flo's note. That's what got me wondering. Okay, cool. I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson.
I understand it. I'm not opposed to it.
Ms. Rich, do you have any questions?
I just want to make sure I understand correctly one aspect of it, and that is, are the rules similar whether you have 10 or multi-units which we already have this capacity to track. So do the rules on the upkeep and things like that, are they the same?
Yes, nothing's changing under the municipal code as
Okay,
far as
thank you.
maintenance.
Yeah, wanted to make sure that it was even-handed. Thank you. That's it.
So the bottom line is that if you have 10 or more, nothing's changing. Is that correct, Mr.
That's
Robert?
correct. That's correct.
And if you have less than 10, then what's changing is you're going to have to pay $25 per unit per year and register. And well, both of them are going to have to provide contact information they didn't provide before.
Right.
Is that right, Jamie?
That's correct. Yes. Right now, 10 or more units typically has a local manager, so there's not going to be much change, I don't think. If it's the less than 10 units that we don't have local people that we can go after and get in contact with when there is an issue.
We got the race.
Any other questions?
No.
Could the chair would entertain a recommendation motion?
Move to recommend full council approval.
Second.
Okay. And I agree. So it's unanimous. Anything else to come before the committee this morning?
I would just like to say, Joe, all your committees is about 5 minutes. The last one we had was 5 minutes. I got to learn from you, Joe.
Good stuff.
Okay, y'all have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, John,